Human beings will take your breath away. They will teach you so much, but you have to engage.
When I graduated, I thought I'm going to not wait for the phone to ring. One day, that was my commitment for 5 years. And I thought if I can't pay the rent after 5 years, I'm out. So I would say that as a basic rule. It sort of worked for me. Don't sit back. Don't wait for the bank loan to come through. Don't wait for people to find your product or for the advertiser to call you. Do whatever you have to do. Hustle, hustle, hustle. If it hasn't worked after 4 years, keep going. Even if it feels uncomfortable, that can sometimes be right. I think so often, not only on film, but in life, we so want to feel comfortable, but that doesn't always bring the best results. If I look back, I think some of my more successful things, in my point of view, have been the things I've been most nervous about and probably most unsure when I began. There's something about jumping off that cliff, which means you end up going for broke and probably end up taking a few more risks, if you know what I mean. It's okay, be nervous. I used to, by the way, for 20 years, I never did. I hid it, tried to hide it. Say it, and it's usually relieving to everyone around you. Maybe not on the 20th take, but certainly when you walk in, it's fine.
I find myself here before you as a middle-aged American white male movie star. I don't have a clue where my blind spots begin and end. But looking at the world as it is and engaging with it is the first step towards identifying our blind spots. And that's when we can really start to understand ourselves better and begin to solve some problems. And with that as your goal, there's a few more things I hope you'll keep in mind. First, you're gonna fail sometimes, and that's a good thing. For all the amazing successes I've been lucky to share in, few things have shaped me more than the auditions that Ben and I used to go on as young actors. You've got to suit up in your armor. You've got to get ready to sound like a total fool. Not having an answer isn't embarrassing. It's an opportunity. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I know so much less the second time I'm fake graduating than the first time. The second thing I want to leave you with is you got to keep listening. The world wants to hear your ideas, good and bad, but today is not the day you switch from receive to transmit. Once you do that, your education is over, and your education should never be over. Even outside of your work, there are always ways to keep challenging yourself. What are you going to be a part of? What is the problem that you will try to solve? Whatever your answer, it is not going to be easy. Sometimes your work will hit a dead end. Sometimes your work will be measured in half steps.
Have a plan for that 5 years. You need to be able to be accountable.
And you see some tough things out there, but you also see life-changing joy, and it all changes you.
Just because it feels uncomfortable doesn't mean it's not good. What could I have done, honestly? And if you can't do that, honestly, you better have someone around you that can. There was a point in one of my first films, I got so angry with the director. He pulled me up and was kind of saying some things to me. Basically, you're doing a bad job. And I went home and I was saying to Deb, I said, this director and that director, She listened to it and she said, can I be honest with you? I said, yeah. And she goes, I don't think you've done enough work. I'm doing the research, I'm doing the work. But actually, the thing I take away from that was her going, you could have done better. Who am I? Someone who's had greater opportunities than I ever thought possible. And if I can convert that into somehow expressing my gratitude and that blessing that is, I'll be happy.
The great philosopher Benjamin Affleck once said, judge me by how good my good ideas are, not how bad my bad ideas are. You've got to suit up in your armor. You've got to get ready to sound like a total fool. Not having an answer isn't embarrassing. It's an opportunity. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
It's that idea that when the things most matter, you so desperately don't want to destroy it for being scared that you can really destroy it. When I hosted the Oscars, I was like, wow, man, this is 1 billion people. And I just thought, okay, whatever you do, just remember, you're a kid from Mooroonga in Sydney. You're hosting the Oscars, have some fun, And luckily for me, those turning points, I've somehow always stuck to that idea of just having fun. The other thing for me has been choices, making choices. I learned the hard way sometimes doing things that I didn't feel were right, went against my gut on it. That's hard. I really try to avoid that now. Even actually failure, if you really believe in it when you say yes, it's fine.
But again, the point is not to become some kind of well-rounded, high-minded voyeur. The point is to eliminate your blind spots, the things that keep us from grasping the bigger picture. The real danger is all that smoke that's been blown up your graduation gowns about how freaking smart you are. Well, you are that smart, but don't believe the hype that's thrown at you. You don't have all the answers, and you shouldn't, and that's fine. you're going to have your share of bad ideas.
I think my one skill is that I'll outwork anybody. Like I'll work harder. It wasn't self-doubt. It was frustration at the system, because the system is not built for you to succeed. You have to break through it.
When I was 29, I told myself, the next acting job I get, no matter what it pays, I will, from now on, for better or worse, be a working actor. So I quit my position at the Professional Examination Services, and now I didn't have either the internet or a cell phone or a job. But something good happened. I got a low-paying theater job in a play called Imperfect Love, which led to a film called 13 Moons with the same writer, which led to other roles. And I've worked as an actor ever since. But I didn't know that would happen. At 29, walking away from data processing, I was terrified. 10 years in a place without heat, 6 years at a job I felt stuck in. Maybe I was afraid of change. Are you? My parents didn't have much money. This made me very hungry, literally. I couldn't be lazy. Now I'm totally lazy, but back then, I couldn't be. And so at 29, and at very long last, I was in the company of the actors and writers and directors I'd sought out. Don't search for defining moments, because they will never come. But in the rest of your life, and most importantly, in your work. The moments that define you have already happened, and they will already happen again. And it passes so quickly. So please bring each other along with you. Everyone you need is in this room. These are the shiny, more important people. You just get a bit derailed. But soon something starts to happen, trust me. A rhythm sets in. Try not to wait until, like me, you're 29 before you find it. And if you are, that's fine too. Some of us never find it. But you will, promise you. You are already here. That's such an enormous step all its own. You'll find your rhythm, or continue the one you have already found. Because the world might say you are not allowed to yet. I waited a long time out in the world before I gave myself permission to fail. Please, don't even bother asking. Don't bother telling the world you are ready. Show it. Do it. What did Beckett say? Ever tried, ever failed. No matter. Try again. Fail again. Fail better.
When you have enough disappointments, you know that you survive them,
Yeah, right.
And also, successes, don't feed you the same way that disappointments do or failures do. I think it's a cliche, but I think it's really true. Somewhere deeply, you learn more from your failures. Not so much consciously, like, oh, I'm not going to do that again. But it gives you kind of strength to kind of focus on what you really think is important and where to apply yourself. So you may even repeat some of those mistakes again, but the more you do it, it's practice, It's the old try, fail, fail better,
Yeah.
It's just, you recognize cycles a little bit better, and you know that you will survive. So it's like you start worrying about the stuff that you can't do anything about, and you focus more on the stuff that you can do something.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what has happened. If you know why you did things,
Right.
and you're kind of pure in that, you can live whatever the outcome is, because you can't control everything.
Right.
So you can only control your intention and your good impulse, your degree of engagement.
Yeah.
And that, in fact, when you're free of the idea of the result, sometimes the engagement can run so much deeper because you're not preoccupied and thinking ahead.
Yeah.
You're not getting ahead of yourself. You're doing this for this.
Turn toward the problems you see. You have to engage and turn towards the problems that you see. It seemed kind of simple at the time, but the older I get, the more wisdom I see in this. That is what I want to urge you to do today, to turn towards the problems that you see and engage with them. Walk right up to them, look them in the eye, and then look yourself in the eye and decide what you're going to do about them. Now, in my experience, there is just no substitute for actually going and seeing these things.